my name is Jennifer Seiler, and my 7th concussion that rocked my world was back in 2013. And when that concussion happened and I woke up the next day, I had fallen and hit the corner of my cheekbone on the corner bumper of a U-Haul truck. And because I had had multiple concussions from sports injuries and a couple of car accidents, this was the one that made it so when, I couldn't follow a finger, my left eye, I felt like Cookie Monster. My left eye was up there and I could only see out of one eye. And the whole left side of my body didn't work with the right side, very similar to my grandfather's stroke. So when I would try to walk through a door jamb, the left side of my body would hit the wall. When I would go to pour hot water to make a cup of tea, I would look at the mug. I could see the mug and I would start pouring, boiling water, but I would miss the mug and burn my hand. And for some reason, my body wasn't connected. My mind and brain wasn't connected with my body. And when I started going for, to see neurologists and to get help, I was really left realizing that there really wasn't a lot of help for me out there. And the only medications that the neurologists were giving me at that time were pain medication for the severe pain I had. I had photophobia, so at the time, sunlight or any light at all felt like 30 knives stabbing into my eyes. And at first the knives went all the way back into the far back of my head, about 12 inches it felt like, and sound was amplified. So normal conversations and normal sound of my children playing were amplified and hurt my head so bad. So I really started wearing earplugs and sound protection headphones and put on eye blinders to keep this light out of my eyes, and was kind of stuck in this different world of isolation, I guess. And because of the severe pain that I had, and my brain felt like it was being squeezed like a grape out of the top of my head, the whole top ring of my head was on fire, and just my brain just felt so much pressure and pain. So all the neurologists were giving me was Vicodin for pain management and some antidepressants to help with my depression and anxiety, because I wasn't able to go back to work. I wasn't able to care for my 2 children, and my whole life had stopped. So that leads with a lot of depression and anxiety. And thankfully, I went to my naturopathic doctor and midwife, who referred me to Dr. Zielinski and his practice of Northwest Functional Neurology. And when I first went in, I think I was pretty close after my accident. So I just remembered at that point, I was living in severe pain and the left side of my body didn't work. And I went in there with headphones and earplugs and an eye mask and was in this isolated, dark world. And I started at the clinic doing a diagnostic, which is very similar to when you take your car to a dealership or to an advanced car auto shop. They actually plug your car into a machine and it runs diagnostics on what's going on with your car. And at Dr. Zielinski's office, that was the first thing they started with, was running diagnostic testing, which a lot of it had to do with my eyes. And come to find out, our eyes are a window to our brain and what's going on with our brain function, and our balance. And so through the series of diagnostic testing, Dr. Zielinski was able to diagnose what things were going on with my brain that needed to be fixed and repaired. And then he was able to figure out my rehab and my protocols for me to get better. And so I think when I started, I actually was going 3 times a week for a rehab session, and kind of similar to when you go to a gym. you would, go to different areas and work on different machines or equipment. One of the exercises that I really liked was the stim machine, and it's kind of like electronic acupuncture in a way, to where I felt they put the stim or stimulation, which has an electrical current that comes out of it, on different areas of your body and on your face as well. And everybody's is different depending on what's going on with your brain or what your body needs. And instantly I would feel like electrical kind of energy going through my body. And I didn't really understand how it all worked at the time, but that was one of the things that we would do. And then I'd go over to another room and do different balancing things and different motions with my arms or hands, kind of realigning my brain, two sides of my brain, and a lot of different vision things, looking at different dots and different ways, kind of exercise. I don't actually know how it all works, but just exercising different parts of my brain that were weak, in a way strengthening those areas, so that my other areas in my brain would function. And all I know is that when I first woke up from my concussion in 2013, my brain was black. There was no information in my brain at all. And that's when I realized that a lot of what we have in our brain is actually memories of the past. So when you lay down at night to go to sleep and your mind is thinking, you're thinking of all of these past memories, and those things go into what you did today and then help you map out your future. Well, I had no memories at all, and every day actually was a new day to me. I didn't remember anything that happened the day before. And after working with Dr. Zielinski and his team for a couple of weeks, it was absolutely amazing. And I started to wake up with memories of who I was, my friends, my family, places I've been. And I started to get hope again, and started to remember who I was, because I lost my sense of self, not having any of the memories of who I was or where I've been. I also then didn't really remember who I was. So once I got into the treatment program, all of those things started coming back to me. My memories started coming back, and I started to remember who I was and remember my friends and my family and who I was as a mother. And I was able to remember what was going on from yesterday, remember what was happening today, and started to build on what tomorrow was going to look like. And that's when I knew that I was going to be able to, relearn everything that I went to college for, relearn my profession, and be able to hold on to memories. Because if you have no day-to-day memory, you actually can't relearn anything. You can't, because whatever you learn today goes away tomorrow. I was able to drive my car again and get back to kind of living my life, and started my pursuits of relearning my education and getting back to work, and I guess becoming the person that I had forgotten. Fast forward 7 years, and you are back to where we are today. And I've had a lot of struggles in the last couple of years dealing with my separating from my husband and becoming a single mom, and kind of re-navigating what my new life looks like. And I've just been running so hard and doing so much that I started to have some of my old symptoms come back, to where when going through a door jam, all of a sudden I'd hit the door jam with my arm again, or be cooking and I wouldn't be able to manage, 3 things on the stove and be burning my hands. And that's what I started to notice, that reminded me, oh my gosh, I need to go back and see Dr. Z and get back into the clinic. So I was able to do a full week of therapy. This time he has a couple of new machines and exercise equipment, as well as something called TMS, which actually is a Tesla magnet that shoots an electromagnetic energy pulse into a specific area of my brain that activates some things in my right hand, which actually helps with depression and anxiety. And 2 weeks ago, when I first started my intensive, I filled out a little sheet of paper and I scored the highest on the sheet. So every day I pretty much would wake up in the morning and cry, kind of just trying to think of how I'm going to manage the day, how I'm going to get my kids through school, then, getting back to work and managing everything in my life, being overwhelmed with everything. I just would start my day crying, and kind of at the end of the day, after I'd get through my day and lay down, I usually was overwhelmed with emotions and everything, and just kind of unload some tears and kind of feel better and go to sleep. Well, I've been doing the protocols here with Dr. Zielinski for 2 weeks and doing TMS twice a day. And here I am on Friday of week 2, and I filled out the same sheet, and on that sheet of paper I scored all zeros. So I have not woken up crying or felt these waves that I just can't manage my life and can't manage the stressors that are happening. Another big thing is both sides of my body is working together, so I haven't burned my hands in 2 weeks. I haven't hit a door jamb or stumbled and fallen in 2 weeks. And my memory is back, so my short-term and long-term memory is on point, and I feel a sense of clarity. I feel like my problem-solving abilities has come back, and the feeling of where I just want to eat information. My textbooks are open. I've got some novels that I started reading again that I left on the side of my bed. And my brain is awake and alive, and I just feel like I just want to keep reading and getting more information into my brain and keep bettering myself. And I'm just looking forward to what the next couple of weeks and this next chapter of my life is going to look like. And I can't say enough to anybody who has any of the symptoms that I've described for concussion syndromes, TBI, depression or anxiety, or any balance, vertigo, or any kind of sensory issues. After being here for 2 weeks, I can tell you that I've never felt better, and there's nobody that I could recommend on the caliber of health and wellness, and actually being able to not just kind of generalize and say, oh, you have a concussion, so here's the protocols, but to actually be able to diagnose like a car, run diagnostics on your system and be able to figure out what's going on with you and be able to tweak your therapy to actually help each individual person with where they're at is absolutely amazing. So I'm just so happy to be here, be alive. I didn't commit suicide. I have both of my kids are gonna hopefully be graduating high school soon, and now I'm homeschooling them and able to keep up with everything that they're learning and be the most amazing mom, a mother, friend, and inspiration to anybody else who might be suffering and going through the hardest time of their life. Please check out Dr. Zielinski and the team in Northwest Functional Neurology, and Shauna and the TMS therapies that she's working with. Is a game changer and has opened up my life for me to live the most amazing life that I can make possible. So I hope everybody who's watching this can find some peace and happiness and hope with this team of amazing people. So I give thanks. And I'm alive!